Hey guys, a little bit early, just in a different location today, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm online in time. So we'll start the session in 4 minutes. But yeah, I'll just wait for the attendees to jump in. So I'll just stick a link to this on the pages just so everybody's clear. And yeah, we'll get into this in a few minutes' time. So just bear with me and we will get going. Okay, I can see people are jumping in, which is good. We'll just give it a couple more minutes before we start. Just want to make sure everybody's in. The session today is a little bit shorter than usual, and mainly because of COVID-19 restrictions, if I'm being truthful. The traditional session is a lot different because obviously we can't do the traditional networking like we used to. So you know, the whole thing has changed a fair bit over the last 12 months or so, which is the way it is. But yeah, look, I think the session kind of goes over the main points of what I'd like everybody to think about. I do also feel that, I mean, when we talk about networking, traditionally, it's very much a case of taking, you know, business cards and working the room and all these types of things at events mostly. But yeah, it is happening, but nowhere near as often as it used to pre-COVID-19. So that's the way of the world at the moment. We can't really change that, but what we can do is we can still be proactive, but we just do it in a bit of a different approach, mainly using online tools, which we'll jump into in 2 minutes' time. So I can see people are logging in at the moment, so I'll just give it another 2 minutes and then we'll start properly. So sorry if you're watching this video back, I do apologize. I just want to jump on most weeks a little bit early just to make sure we've got everybody, which does seem like the case at the moment. So we'll just give it a little bit longer and then we'll jump straight in. Okay. So a little bit different this week in the sense of we've usually got the presentation slides up behind me. This presentation really isn't too in depth and there's not loads of complex theories or anything that we need to get through. So I decided just to upload the presentation onto the website and just talk you through this a bit more because I feel that this is probably going to be the shortest session out of all of them due to the restrictions. So, all right, so let's get to it then. So networking, what does it actually mean? What you basically got to think of is you need to identify the decision makers within your space. So whether they are you know, really senior people or whether they are entry-level people, it doesn't really matter on the scale of where these decision makers sit. The important thing is that firstly, we understand what their job titles are. So for myself, if I'm going to go into a business, I would usually report to the CEO. So if I wanted to network, I would probably want to network with CEOs. So I would then do everything I can to discover where I can find CEOs. If I was a new grad or a school leaver and I wanted to go into my first position, and let's say that's just for argument's sake an administration type role, then I might want to look at the head of administration as a job title of a potential decision maker. It might be the office manager, and it's just kind of understanding and being clear on who that person is or what that person's job title is, and working back from there. Because what you can do really well with networking is you can spread yourself too thin. You've only got so much opportunity each day, so you want to try and get the most out of those opportunities as much as possible. So let's jump into it then. So the first slide, I've made reference to Meetup. So I've said use a professional network website, have a look for relevant groups that suit your skill set. So again, you need to go online and start running some searches on the types of groups that are available to you. So an example might be if you are interested in going into anything to do with nursing or community services, maybe you're interested in helping people with disabilities, could be anything. I can almost guarantee you, if you run a few searches on Google, with whatever that profession is, or whichever area of the job market you're looking for, and then you type in networking events, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to find groups of like-minded professionals. Now, don't be afraid to go in there and make some inquiries. Don't be afraid to message the group's leader, because it is a bit of a different time. It's not always straightforward. The way a lot of these work is they put their details on an app called Meetup. It's just www.meetup.com. I believe it's a global app, Meetup, and you can find groups pretty much all over the place for all different types of things. Now, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed a lot, so you're finding that there's a lot more emphasis on online meetups. Now, if you're not very technical, or you don't have access to a laptop or a smartphone, and it's just proven difficult to find these means, then I do encourage you to use the local libraries, go to the centres that support our demographic, and try and have a look on what is local to you and what you can attend. You might need just half an hour online just to find a few meetups and book yourself on there. And then, as long as you've got the details of where they're located and what time, you should be okay. So don't think this is totally daunting and totally technical and something that's going to be, out of your reach. These things are geared to help people attend. So that's just one example of where you can find these networking events. There's a lot of industry networking events. Unless you are very clear on the area of where you're working, or unless you've got some prior experience. If that's the case, then the industry networks could be an option for you. But if you just type in whatever your skill set is, or whatever the type of job that you're interested in doing, and networking event or meetup, you'll start seeing some events, and a lot of these, like I say, will be online. So have a look online, look for those things. But if I'm being completely honest, the most powerful tool available to anybody in the recruitment space right now is LinkedIn. I keep going back to LinkedIn in all of these sessions, and we will have a session dedicated to creating a LinkedIn post. Now, I've spoken to a number of migration centres nationally, and I've had a little bit of pushback in regards to me delivering these career coaching sessions to some of the centres, because Their opinion is that that a lot of our demographic are looking for work in the blue collar space. So maybe a LinkedIn profile or creating a LinkedIn profile isn't the most relevant for them. My come back to that is I wholeheartedly disagree. I know many clients in the Australian job market right now that are using LinkedIn for blue collar and white collar jobs. So what I mean by that is blue collar would be your more entry level, maybe factory positions, or that kind of more, and then white collar is more office-based positions and senior appointments, that kind of thing. We need to stop thinking like that. I think a lot of social media platforms will house businesses, but LinkedIn is the main place. And speaking to, I consult for recruitment companies in Australia. I'm been tasked to set up a few new recruitment businesses. I can tell you some of the roles we work on are entry level, some of them are really senior appointments, but we're using LinkedIn for all of it. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn, even if it's the most complex thing you've ever seen. Get some support, get some help, because once you're on there, that allows you then to network in LinkedIn groups. So if you think of any organization in Australia, the majority of them you'll be able to find them on Google, because any company worth their salt will list themselves on Google. And then the second place that you'll find information on the business, other than their website, their corporate website, most of them will have a LinkedIn group for their business. And this is a great tool, because if you're very clear on the type of job title that you're looking for, even if you're a school leaver, or it doesn't really make much difference. If you're clear on the pathway that you want to get down, and it might be a case that you try one path, it's not really working, you try a different one, that's fine as well. But if you understand the type of role and the type of job title of the person who's likely to be the decision maker for you, then LinkedIn is the best tool you're going to find, because what you can do is you can do a geographical location search on where you live, and then you can work backwards from there. You can punch in the job titles of potential decision makers, and you can then go and start networking with those decision makers. Now, if you are somebody who's got some experience, prior work experience, and you wanted to, network with people in the industry, then finding LinkedIn groups that are relevant for specific job titles, could be specific areas of the employment space. So an example might be, you get a group for aged care nursing, for example, or every single position within the job space usually has a governing body. So if you're in the space and there's a governing body in that space, which 9 times out of 10 there is, then go and affiliate yourself with those governing bodies, because it's always a good way and a good means of networking there and identifying people to network. So again, LinkedIn, I really am a big advocate of. And once you're on LinkedIn and you've got a profile, this networking piece becomes so much easier for you, because it's all in front of you, and you can literally navigate and start seeing people and start sending messages, sending connection requests, and start working on building your network. And don't be afraid to just be honest. Nobody ever got in any trouble for being honest, in my experience. So if you're absolutely desperate for work and you'll take anything, and you're located in a certain area, just give them the full picture. Don't be afraid to explain that what your situation is, and you'd be happy to do any work or whatever the work is. Often that can work in your favor, because your other option is to send an application with hundreds of other applications, and you're going to be judged on the same merits, I suppose. But if somebody reaches out to me and tells me what their situation is, I'm a lot more likely to try and help that person if they've shown a bit of honesty and have reached out to me with the right intentions. So don't be afraid to do that either. Okay, so how much is too much when we're connecting? So I've just jumped over the slide. It completely depends on your market. So who you're looking to connect with and what you're looking to gain from that relationship. If you think about it, I can only give myself as an example because it probably makes more sense to. Right now, I'm setting up a recruitment business in the allied health space, so physios, occupational therapists, speech pathologists, that type of thing. I haven't really got a great network in this space. So what I'm looking to do is I physically haven't got the time to go and like posts from influencers. Maybe now and again I can, but the majority of the networking I'm looking to do is I'm looking at the key decision makers, identifying them first. And then what I'll do is I'll then go and offer, our services or try and build relationships with those people to say, oh, look, we help companies that struggle to find people. What do you tend to struggle with? Maybe I can help you. And then just kind of start that conversation. So it's a little bit different if I'm the person looking for a job, but not that different in the sense of rather than going in and offering staff or services like I am in a business-to-business engagement, what you're in essence doing is offering your personal services, i.e. your employment. Now, a lot of people, when they're in the job market, forget that it's fine to ask for a casual contract, a sole trader type arrangement, or to go in for a permanent opportunity. A lot of the time, people make the mistake of going in saying, oh, these are my skill sets, this is the type of work I can offer, wondering whether you've got any opportunities or whether I can just keep in the loop as and when opportunities come up. A lot of the time, people don't explain that, you'd be happy to take a casual contract, you'd be happy to do unsociable hours if that's what it takes, So just be really clear on your intentions. Once you've done that initial connection request, and you get 300 characters when you send a connection request on LinkedIn. So if you're using that means condense your pitch, if you like, on why you're connecting. Or if you're just emailing directly, you've got a bit more space and a bit more time. But don't be afraid to get some help with putting these together, because a lot of the time, I've had emails in the past completely out of the blue, and it's kind of made me think, oh, that person's made a real effort to contact me, so I'm going to try and help that person now. So don't, you might not get that outcome all the time, but that's okay as well, Don't be too downbeat. Just try to be positive and just treat it like a numbers game. The more things you put out there, the more chance you got for something to come back. So yeah, like posts of the influencers, of the people, so of the influencers, so the people that you're trying to connect with. But I wouldn't really encourage sharing things much more than once a day, whether that be on LinkedIn, Facebook, if that's the platform you're using, or just in general on any of the social medias. Sometimes it becomes quite irritating if you're connected with somebody and they're constantly posting like 4 or 5 times a day. You have a chance of people unfollowing you, which isn't really what you want to do. So just be mindful of just trying to go after the contacts and trying to be honest and start the relationship there. And yeah, like posts by all means, but probably keep your sharing to once a day. Okay, so COVID, going on to the next slide, COVID-19 and its effect on networking events was pretty obvious. We can't, meet many people in a safe manner, or not as safe as before. So a lot of networking events are just being scrapped, or they're going online. This is actually better in a lot of cases because the groups tend to be smaller, and they seem to be a bit more tailored and to the point. So I think if you have access to the internet, that's a bonus. If you haven't, don't be afraid to go to the library and log on there and try and get onto some events that way. The good thing is a lot of the professional networking events are held during core business hours, with more social events being out of hours. So you might find a lot of professional networking events are, they call them like breakfasts or, lunchtime type things. So yeah, so I would definitely say it's changed. Zoom wasn't really much of a thing a few months ago. It's now one of the main things. So if you haven't got Zoom or you're unsure on how Zoom works, it might be worth spending a bit of time to do some research and understand how it works and getting yourself an account. It's free, but I definitely think, that's how it's affecting. There's less events and more events online. So in the past, you could go and meet people in events. It's just not a thing anymore. And then even if you were really laser focused and you had maybe 10 decision makers that you wanted to go and meet, just introduce yourself. Can't really do that anymore either. So it has changed a fair bit. But yeah, just be mindful of that change, I suppose. Okay, so the next slide is just pretty much an image. I've just wrote, just be clear on your objective, and I might be going back a few plays here, but it is really important to just be honest and just let them know what your situation is. So an example might be, hi, whatever the decision maker's name is. My name is Carl. I've been in the country for X amount of years. I'm looking for some casual work. This is my background. This is my situation. Wondering whether either yourself or anybody in your network would be interested in somebody with my skills. So, I really appreciate the time that you've taken to read this email, and any response would be greatly, appreciated. So if I'm not clear with the objective, if I just say, oh, hey, I'm Carl, and I'm a recruitment professional or something, I'm not going to get the same kind of outcome. A lot of people will just see it as spam, or like you're not getting to the point. So they'll just move swiftly on in their days. So it's always good to maybe have some sort of a hook or some sort of reason for them to contact you back. So just doing a bit more digging and a bit more research on A, the type of role you want to go for, and then B, having a look at that organization. Are there any voluntary opportunities? Are there any unpaid internships that they would offer in the first instance? Because sometimes it's better to get some experience, even if it's unpaid experience, to help you step on that first rung of the ladder with paid employment. So just put it out there and see what comes back. So again, I touched on this before, so I've just moved on to the next slide. Does your profession have a governing body? There's a bit of a pyramid, upside down pyramid. It just shows that most governing bodies, you'll get the international, which is obviously global, and then it goes down into the country, so the national governing body, then a regional, then a local. If you're clear on where you sit and you understand where the governing bodies are, it's a lot easier to start there, because a lot of the governing bodies within different organizations list all of the companies and the contact details of their members, or of whoever's in that local group or regional group. So do have a think about which governing body you'd sit in. You might find that within your profession there's 3 or 4 different ones. That's fine. Explore them all. It's free to go online and look at the information online. There's always a cost involved if you want to join as a member, or there's events, there's always costs involved. That's how they fund themselves. But do not be afraid to send a direct email, explaining your situation. Maybe you can't afford the fees and whether they'd be willing to waiver. You'd be surprised how nice people are in this world. I think you get some traction there as well. So don't be afraid to ask the question. Okay, so prepare. So always have a plan. So just move on to the next slide. It's just an image anyway. I would like everybody here to really have a think about what the ideal job title is, or maybe there's 5 or 10 of those job titles. Okay, that's fine. Let's choose the first, and then let's work backwards from there. Okay, so what would that job title report into? What would the job title of the decision maker be? So if I'm an admin assistant, then maybe it's an office manager, maybe it's head of administration, whatever that might be. Be really clear on that, and then plan your time. Okay, I've got an hour on Tuesday, I've got 2 hours on Wednesday. I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to get access to the internet, and I'm going to send this approach. I'm going to get some help with that, and I'm going to keep a record of what I've been up to. With that, even if you've got a really poor plan, a poor plan is better than no plan. So really be mindful of that. And what that can do is you can celebrate the smaller wins as and when they come, but also you can be a bit more honest with yourself and say, well, look, I've pretty much done everything I can this week. I'm happy with myself. Okay, I haven't got the end goal, or I haven't got that paid job like this week, but if I keep doing this, it's going to come. So always have a plan, and just don't let your head go down, and don't get too disappointed when things don't always go your way. That's absolutely normal for it not to. So just take your time, keep your confidence up, and keep on at it. The next slide, I've just wrote proactive, and I think you can be proactive in a number of ways. It's not just online, it's not just on email, it's not just on LinkedIn. Direct messages, and there's lots and lots of different ways that you can engage with people, and you don't need to always think, okay, if I engage with this person, they're going to hire me tomorrow. It might be a case of, if you engage with somebody, even if you meet them in the street or in your social networks or wherever it might be, if you're consistent with your message, you'd be amazed how many people can then introduce you to their networks and their groups. So just be proactive, just keep following up. And that's basically the next slide, which is post events. If you're lucky enough to get to one of those meetup events, or post event might be an online event, or even you've met somebody, in the park or whatever it might be, and you've got into a conversation, and then it's all about the follow-up. So I teach people how to basically help their candidates to find work, and the one thing I always say is, it's all well and good getting the conversation going, it's all well and good getting the interest, but it's all of the results are always in the follow-up. So if you haven't got the follow-up happening, you can't really expect much results. So it'd be really easy now to go away and try and network with everybody, and then you're doing 500 connections a week or whatever it is, and that's great. Unless you're following up with them, you may as well have just got 5. So just be mindful of that. That's probably the most important lesson of this session. So again, this is probably the shortest session out of all of the sessions so far, but I just wanted to just highlight the importance of being very clear, having a plan, and following up on the people that you're engaging with, because I feel that it'd be very easy for you to feel sorry for yourself, or think that nothing's going to happen and it's going to be too hard and everything's too hard. That's the easy way of looking at things. But there are opportunities, and things are slowly changing. It's been a really, really hard year, but there are green shoots. So if you're clear on the job title that you're looking for, and you're clear on the direction that you want to go, then you can identify those decision makers, and then you can start, building those networks and start those relationships in general. So that's it for today. We will be going a bit deeper in the sessions that are coming up. I have had some feedback on people saying, you prefer something to happen every week. So with that in mind, I'm going to keep the bi-weekly sessions as planned. I don't want to change them at all. But I encourage everybody here to reach out to me. And what I'd like to offer is, a couple of hours on a Wednesday to just do a one-on-one call with anybody that's interested, just to have a chat. Maybe I can have a look at your resume. Maybe I can offer you some advice. And I'm happy to do that in any means possible. So I'll reach out to the centres and put something on my website. And it's like a consultation, I suppose, where maybe it's an idea to send me an email in the first instance. And then maybe I can help the people who, are pretty keen to do something every week. So if you've done the resume session and you've done your cover letter and you're not quite sure what to do next, then I'm open to helping anybody in any way I can. So like I say, I'll put some information out on that and how that works. But the easiest way to contact me is just via my website. All the career coaching sessions are on there anyway. But if you, it's just my name basically. So it's just carlrowlands.com.au or info@carlrowlands.com.au. So it shouldn't be too hard to remember. It's with a K as well, the way I spell my name. So I'll look forward to hearing from you all there. Like I said, I had a feeling this might be short, what with COVID-19. If there wasn't that many restrictions, we'd probably have a lot more to talk about, but I just think you shouldn't be the biggest priority right now. I think engaging with decision makers is the key area to it, and you can do a lot of that online. But again, I'm going to keep banging this drum. Get yourself a LinkedIn profile, regardless to the level, regardless if you're still in school, doesn't matter. Get yourself a LinkedIn profile, because without that, you're going to be on the back foot the whole time. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for your attendance. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. My email address, info@carlrowlands.com.au. Many thanks.